बस कुछ ही क्षणों में वो इस विशाल सभागार में उपस्थित होने वाले हैं। माननीय विदेश मंत्री महोदय भारत सरकार डॉक्टर सुब्रमण्यम जयशंकर जी हमारे मध्य इस विशाल सभागार में अब पधार चुके हैं।
So let's welcome him with a huge round of applause.
Kindly maintain the decorum, please. We'll be having sir soon. माननीय विदेश मंत्री महोदय भारत सरकार डॉक्टर सुब्रमण्यम जयशंकर जी हमारे मध्य इस विशाल सभागार में अब पधार चुके हैं।
So let's welcome him with a huge round of applause.
इस जोरदार करतल ध्वनि के बीच हिंदू कॉलेज का ऑडिटोरियम आज के इस महत्वपूर्ण दिवस का साक्षी बन रहा है। हम गौरवान्वित व कृतज्ञ हैं इस अवसर के लिए। अतिथि देवो भव की परंपरा का निर्वहन करते हुए ऑडियंस प्लीज काइंडली बी सीटेड। अतिथि देवो भव की परंपरा का निर्वहन करते हुए हम सर्वप्रथम भारत के विदेश मंत्री माननीय सुब्रमण्यम जयशंकर जी के चरणों में प्रणाम निवेदित करते हुए माननीय मंत्री महोदय व हमारे मध्य उपस्थित माननीय कुलपति महोदय एवं हमारी माननीय प्रधानाचार्य महोदय से आग्रह करते हैं कि वे मंच पर आएं व दीप प्रज्वलन के इस पावन विधि का शुभारंभ करें।
शुभ स्वागतम्
Thank you so much, Alankar.
Today, we all have gathered here for a development dialogue on India's G20 presidency and its global impact. This initiative has been undertaken to ensure a climate of vimarsh or consultation so that our goal of Amrit Kal may come to fruition. Viksit Bharat is about infusing values and finance, resilient infrastructure, sustainable cities, women-led development, traditional medicines, wellness, and whatnot.
समय जितना प्राचीन, सूर्य जितना तेजस्वी और आकाश जितना विशाल है इस देश का इतिहास। भारत का इतिहास यहाँ की संस्कृति, ज्ञान व कला से सुसज्जित है। आज आधुनिक भारत के शिल्पी इसे एक नई दिशा दे रहे हैं और इसी के साथ हम आत्मनिर्भर बनने की दिशा में भी अग्रसर हैं। संकल्प से सिद्धि इस अमृतकाल में हमारे समक्ष एक मंत्र के रूप में भी प्रकट हुआ है। विगत वर्षों में भारत विश्व की 10वीं अर्थव्यवस्था से 5वीं अर्थव्यवस्था बन खड़ा है। वहीं भारत वर्तमान में G20 की अध्यक्षता भी संभाल रहा है। कोरोना काल में जिस तरह भारत ने इस महामारी का सामना किया, वह भारत के एक अनोखे सामर्थ्य को दर्शाता है। हमारी इसी प्रकार के संभव प्रयासों से हम सभी को विश्वास है कि भारत अपने इस लक्ष्य को हासिल कर सन 2047 में अपनी आज़ादी का 100वां महाउत्सव बड़ी ही धूमधाम से मनाएगा।
Hindu College, being a part of Viksit Bharat, has made its own strides. Its remarkable journey from its beginning in 1899 and meandering from Kinari Bazaar, Ajmeri Gate, Kashmiri Gate, right up to the present-day North Campus has been arduous and successful. We have stayed at the zenith of higher education in India. It's a matter of immense pride that we are celebrating 125 years of the establishment of Hindu College. A college which has a history older than the Delhi University. Our landmarks like the Relaxo Research Center, 2 grand auditoriums, Utsav Amphitheatre, a huge 4-story library, and the Hindu College Parliament make Hindu a very unique institution. Now, I would like to request our principal, Professor Anju Srivastav ma'am, to welcome and felicitate our dignitaries on the dais.
Thank you, Milind and Vedanti. I'll just speak for 1 minute, sir. Honorable Minister of External Affairs, Dr. S. Jaishankarji, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir Professor Yogesh Singh ji of Registrar, Delhi University, Dr. Vikas Gupta, Dean Colleges, Professor Balram Pani, Proctor Professor Rajni Abbi, Director South Campus, Professor Sri Prakash sir. I mean, this time we have the entire team of the Delhi University and I couldn't be happier. I'm really, really obliged that you all are here today. Our officers from the Ministry of External Affairs who have come right from 9 o'clock to see whether things are in place or not, and I hope we have met to their expectations. Officers from the University Grants Commission, officers from the Ministry of Education, our esteemed faculty members, our members of the governing body, some of whom are also, they are going to arrive soon. Some have already arrived. Our dear, dear students, and ladies and gentlemen. A very, very big event for us today. And so on behalf of the entire Hindu College fraternity and my own behalf, I extend a very warm welcome to you all to the one of its kind initiative, Amrit Kal Vimarsh, under the aegis of Viksit Bharat at 2047. The initiative, which is actually of the Ministry of Education Directorate, the Higher Education Department, has been a real great experience for me. In particular, I'm very thankful to the Honorable Minister of Education, Shri Dharmendra Pradhan ji, for having chosen Hindu College for initiating this mission. The mission comprises of development dialogues on campuses of institutions of higher education. It is a huge privilege and honor to have amidst us Honorable Minister of External Affairs, Dr. Jaishankar ji, who will launch this initiative by his talk on G20 presidency and its global impact. Thank you, sir, for your esteemed time and interest. I would also like to thank and deeply appreciate the unconditional support received from the university under the dynamic leadership of our very own Honorable Vice Chancellor, Delhi University, Professor Yogesh Singh, sir, in all our endeavors. In just a matter of 1.5 years, he has brought some long-awaited, spectacular developments in the university, winning the hearts of all stakeholders. Thank you very much, sir. I also welcome Professor Ratnabali, Dean Academic Affairs, who's working so hard for the successful implementation of NEP. As we gather today to hear from the distinguished luminary and participate in charting a course for India's proud journey towards holistic growth and inclusive development by 2047, I want to use this opportunity to highlight the role that the generation of our current students will play. Students, your curiosity, your endeavor, your commitment, diligence, skill towards the welfare of those around you are the foundations on which nations like ours set themselves on journeys towards greatness. And I'm confident that your interaction with today's distinguished guest stokes all of these values. Today's opportunity will serve as a milestone in your minds as you look back at these college years. Thank you once again, sir. We have very little time. I don't want to, barge into that. And so, sir, thanks again for the honor of your presence here today. We are all inspired, energized, and will no doubt leave this event with a renewed motivation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
अब मैं माननीय कुलपति महोदय दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय प्रोफेसर योगेश सिंह जी से आग्रह करूंगी कि वे मंच पर आएं और अपने विचारों से इस सभा को संबोधित करें।
Good morning to all of you. Good morning. Dr. S. Jaishankar, Honorable Minister for External Affairs, Government of India, Professor Anju Srivastava, Principal of Hindu College, Professor Balram Pani, Dean of Colleges, Professor Shri Prakash, Director, South Campus, Dr. Vikas Gupta, Registrar of the University, Professor Rajni Abhi, other deans, outstanding teachers, officers, officials of various ministries, University Grants Commission, invited guests, my media friends, and my dear intelligent and gifted students. Good morning to all of you. So Hindu College has become the first college to start this initiative, Amrit Kal Vimarsh, Viksit Bharat at 2047. On behalf of University of Delhi, I would like to welcome our chief guest, Dr. S. Jaishankar, Honorable External Affairs Minister, Government of India. He is an alumnus of University of Delhi. He studied from a college just in front of you, just in front of Hindu College. Stephens College. He is an outstanding performer, praiseworthy administrator, doer, and an impactful speaker. He was, as most of us know, he was the Foreign Secretary Government of India from 2015 to 18, and ambassador to many countries, many important countries, ambassador to US 2013 to 15, China 2009 to 13, Singapore 7 to 9, Czech Republic 2000 to 2004, and he's also a recipient of Padma Shri Award in 2019. He's also an author of a best-selling book which came in 2020, The India Way, Strategies for an Uncertain World. We all should read that book. It's a wonderful piece of work. So he has inspired and influenced many lives during his accomplished journey of 50 years. From Delhi University, I can confidently say that we are proud of you, sir. अहमद फराज साहब की कुछ पंक्तियां हैं जो मैं कहना चाहूंगा कि सुना है लोग उसे आंख भर के देखते हैं। नहीं, इतना वावा की भी अभी जरूरत नहीं है, जरा सुना है लोग उसे आंख भर के देखते हैं, सो उसके शहर में कुछ दिन ठहर के देखते हैं। सुना है बोले तो बातों से फूल झरते हैं, ये बात है तो चलो बात करके देखते हैं। तो आज तो उनसे बात करने का दिन है, एक नई शुरुआत का दिन है, और हमारे अपने स्टूडेंट रहे हैं, ये हमारे लिए गर्व का दिन है। मैं दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय की तरफ से आपका स्वागत करता हूं। विकसित भारत at 2047. How does it sound? Inspiring? Igniting? Influencing? Impressive? Create aspirations? Generate proud feelings? Very powerful and impactful thoughts. How many of you agree? Please raise your hands. Yes, that is Viksit Bharat at 2047. And you know, we don't have any doubt India will be a developed nation by 2047, क्योंकि ये संकल्प है भारत के प्रधानमंत्री का, क्योंकि ये संकल्प है भारत की सरकार का, क्योंकि ये संकल्प है 140 भारतवासियों का। My dear students, we have to find our role in this sankalp, because our contribution is necessary, and you know, next 25 years are our 25 years, and we have to work really, really very hard for growth and development of our country. My dear students, India became first $1 trillion economy after 60 years of independence in 2007. Then $2 trillion economy in 2014, just after 7 years, and $3 trillion in 2019, just after 5 years. And today, Today, despite COVID, despite all shortcomings, now India is $3.76 trillion economy. It means we are doing very well, and predictions and estimations are that in 2027, India will be $5 trillion economy. And after 2030, India will add $1 trillion every year, which we took 60 years to become $1 trillion economy. And after 2030, $1 trillion every year. It means something is happening very good. And we have to find, we don't want you to be spectator in the whole theory, but a player, a winner, a captain in the whole theory. And in 2047, it is expected that Indian size of economy will be $20 to $25 trillion. And here, growth is the key. And 9% growth is the key. And success is double-digit growth if we can. And we will do it with such performing government of India, with the able and dynamic leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister, and with active participation of youth of India. This dialogue on G20 presidency, today's theme is the G20 presidency and its global impact. Will not only be informative, but also an inspiration to young and bright minds. My dear students, we all will make Viksit Bharat through our actions, performance, ideas, and thoughts. Ideas and thoughts. Best of luck for that. And I want a promise. Last thing, in our lifetime, we will not do anything which is against the interest of our country, but we will contribute for the growth and development of our country. Those who want to give me the promise, please raise your hands. Thank you very much. We will be a developed nation by 2047. Thank you. Thank you very much.
धन्यवाद सर। आपके विचारों ने हमें हमेशा से ही प्रभावित व प्रोत्साहित किया है और हम आशा करते हैं कि शीघ्र ही हमें ये शुभ अवसर पुनः प्राप्त होगा।
Now, with a huge round of applause, let's welcome our esteemed guest, Honorable Dr. S. Jaishankar sir, to address the audience and kindly enlighten us with his insights.
Professor Yogesh Singh, Vice Chancellor, University of Delhi. Professor Anju Srivastav, Principal, Hindu College. The academic leadership of Delhi University, thank you very much. And most of all, my young friends, the students of Hindu College. Namaskar, good morning. It's a great pleasure. It's a great pleasure to be with you all today, starting this program. And I'm particularly pleased that this is an occasion when Hindu College celebrates 125 years. So for me to be associated in some way with that is really additional source of happiness. Now, I don't know when was the last time a foreign minister of India met students of Delhi University to talk about foreign policy. It didn't happen when I was in the university. That much I can tell you. So what has brought me here? What has changed? I think the world has changed. India certainly has changed. But I think all of you have also changed. That your understanding of the world, your connection with the world, the impact that you will and are making on the world and the world is making on you, I think all of that has changed. Now, I am to speak to you about the G20 presidency and its global impact, which I will. But before I do that, I want to share with you a few experiences that I've had, you can say, on the road as a traveling minister of this government. And I'll start with the most recent one. We were at the BRICS summit in South Africa last week. We were physically there, but we were mentally in Bengaluru. We were mentally in Bengaluru because all the while the thoughts in Prime Minister's mind, in ours as well, was Chandrayaan. So, and you know, it was visible. It would keep coming up in the meetings. It would come up in the conversations. Others brought it up. Our host, South African president, actually publicly expressed good wishes for our success. And in between the conference, we took a break because we all wanted to see the actual landing. And that evening, this was a BRICS conference, okay? This was a BRICS summit. So this is India, Russia, China, Brazil, South Africa. There were about maybe another 50 countries, maybe 70 countries who were invited. About 45, 50 of them were at the President, Prime Minister level. But that evening, there was only one topic of conversation. That topic of conversation was the Chandrayaan landing. And the most, to me, I mean, one was, you know, it's like you feel you are on a big stage, something big has happened in your country, you're already like little bit walking a little bit taller and higher. But the greatest satisfaction for me that day was this sense from all the leaders that India has done it, but we, you know, the leaders of Africa, of Latin America, of Asia, we also see this as something as motivating, as you know, it is your success, but we also feel somewhere it is our success. We share it, we are happy. It's like a family member doing something very well. Now, I start with this experience because especially the young people of India have to understand that everything you are doing, will do, your dreams, your aspirations, your achievements, they are no longer going to be contained within the borders of India. That we are already through, you know, Vice Chancellor spoke today of India as almost a $3.8 trillion economy. But it is not just the statistics. It's not the prosperity. It is the sense that day in the room, and you know, some of the presidents said this because actually this was a big hall, you know, the long table, there were 150 people there. And actually they all stood up and Prime Minister had to walk down the row shaking hands with people. But the one message was, you know, what you have done is also inspiring the rest of the world. So that is the first experience I want to share with you. The second experience actually emanates with COVID. I have shared already in public many stories about the COVID. Some of you may have seen it in some reel somewhere. I think you would be familiar, for example, that experience I recounted, that my COVID certificate was on my phone. And in America, you know, my son was pulling out something from his wallet, one parchi folded up saying, "Acha, this is mine." But I'll tell you a different story. Last year, you know, every year the world gathers in New York for the UN General Assembly. Almost all countries of the world come, the leaders come, the ministers come, prime ministers, presidents. Normally, we go around asking people, you know, I'm from India, so we say, okay, we want to meet our counterparts. last year, a number of my colleagues, foreign ministers of other countries, counterparts, they actually said, we would like to do an event with you. We would like to do that event because we are the countries who received the COVID vaccine. So we want an opportunity. We want an opportunity to actually express our thanks. Now, they spoke, and they all spoke from their heart. Now, and for me, the most moving sentence was actually, I think it was my colleague from Jamaica, who said, "I carry vaccine Maitri inside me." So the impact we had through COVID, because all of them said, the message was, look, we are the foreign ministers of Africa, of Caribbean, of Latin America, of South Pacific. We know there were stockpiles of vaccine close to us produced by other countries. We did not get it from them. We got it from you, and you were far away. So the first point I made to you was the impact that our success will have on the world. The second point I make to you is how we are today, the generosity of India. When you say that in G20, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, when we say one earth, one family, one future, the world believes us. They do not think this is an empty slogan made for a conference. They actually have seen in the behavior of India in the most difficult times, when there were countries who had stockpiled 5-6 times the number of people, they had stockpiled that many doses of vaccines. They would not give it to a small neighbor next to them. And people saw that there was a different country, one which was vaccinating its own people, and while it was vaccinating its own people, was ready to share with the rest of the world. That's my second story. I'll give you one more, and then I will come to the G20. Last year, end of last year, I had gone to abroad, to the Middle East, to West Asia, to invite a president of a country to visit India. So I was carrying a letter from Prime Minister Modi. And, normally foreign minister meets the president, somebody says, "Acha, you have 15 minutes, 20 minutes, please, ज़्यादा time nahi lijiye, next appointment is on the way." So they give you a slot. I'm a time conscious guy. I gave my invitation, gave Prime Minister Modi's regards. We did about 10 minutes of polite talking. Then that president actually said, "I have some things I want to ask you." He said, "I hear in India that you are today able to reach very large sections of your population because of your digital capability. So tell me a little bit about it." Now I started to speak. You ask a cabinet member of the Modi government to speak about what has happened last 10 years, obviously you're not going to stop. You're going to speak one after another. You will speak about housing, you will speak about giving food support, you will speak about Jan Arogya Yojana, Awas Yojana, Ujjwala. Now, people kept coming and sort of looking at it saying, "Hey, Niccolo, you had 15 minutes of 15 has become 20, has become 25. That president was completely focused on me. And he actually told me, he said, "Just ignore those people." And he told me at the end of it all, he said, "Everything that you are doing applies equally in my country. Everything." So why I say this to you is, I spoke to you about the impact we are making, the motivational impact. I spoke to you about generosity of heart. But you must also realize everything we are doing today is relevant to the world. It is relevant not just to the developing world, it is relevant even to the developed world. And I give you an example of it. Just a few days ago, the Financial Times had an article. The Financial Times article pointed out, it said the number of cashless financial transactions in India last year were 90 billion. Okay? Oh, wait. Do you know how many cashless transactions there were in America? Would anybody even like to guess? 2.8 billion. Even China had 17.6 billion. So I want especially the young people to understand this. You are embracing change on a scale and intensity with a passion. Even you don't know the revolution you are creating around you. This is today the new India. This is the India which, if it carries on for the next 25 years, will be the Viksit Bharat that we are all aspiring to. So I must tell you, the reason the foreign minister has come is to draw encouragement, hope, sustenance from all of you, but also tell you that this 25 years is your era. It's your achievements, your talents, your motivation that will decide really where India is going. Now, I have spoken to you about the world, about, in a way, some of the achievements which has had an impact. But the truth is also, the world is a very tough place. The world is a very tough place. You can see that, you saw it during COVID. You can see it in terms of today, the impact of conflict. You can see it in terms of the security challenges. You can see it in terms of climate events. So, but what is necessary for all of us to understand is that the world matters to us. That era where the world was beyond our borders and we were safe inside our borders, that era is now over. Borders are actually, in terms of sovereignty, extremely important. But when we speak about globalization, everything that happens in the world outside will impact your life, and everything you are doing here, particularly if you're doing it on scale, in terms of a different level of achievement, that will also impact the world. And I say this to you because this is today the world in which we have assumed the G20 presidency. So why is our G20 presidency different? Because, you know, there have been other countries who have done G20 for a variety of reasons. The first reason is actually the chair. The fact is, India has assumed the G20 presidency at a moment when India is mattering more and more to the world. It is mattering more to its world, partly because of our economic achievements, that from number 12 or number 10, we have now become the number 5 economy. It is mattering because today, whether it's technology, it could be digital, it could be our talent. I gave you Chandrayaan as an example, but you can see it in other ways as well. That we are today recognized as essential to the global workplace, to the global talent pool. It matters because we also today have demonstrated a capability. We have demonstrated a capability of helping other countries. I spoke to you about vaccine supplies, but you can see even today in, you know, some country has an earthquake. Turkey had an earthquake earlier this year. We were among the first countries who were able to send a contingent out there to rescue people. But it's also because we look after our people. The respect that we get in the world because we look after our people, when we went into Ukraine under Operation Ganga to get our students out, or when we went to Sudan under Operation Kaveri to rescue people, 5,000 people who are working in Sudan. So in the eyes of the world today, It is our economic achievements, it's our technology capabilities, it's our talent pool, it is actually our capabilities, and it is a fact that all of this is done as a democracy. This combination puts India in a very special position, and therefore India's presidency of the G20 has expectations and responsibilities which are very exceptional. Now, one part of it is, as I say, it's about us and how we are perceived. But it's also the decisions we made about how we are going to conduct our presidency. Typically, a presidency is done in meetings. I have attended maybe more than 10 G20 meetings in my life. Mostly conference hall hota hai, log aate hain, airport se conference hall jate hain, meet, have a dinner, sign some piece of paper, and you go. So if you look at the impact on the society or the input of the society, and truly we mean it. This is the first G20 certainly I have seen in my long career, where the people of the country, where every region, multiple cities, different walks of life, from colleges to professional associations to the ordinary citizen, feels connected to that G20. And we are doing it because in Prime Minister Modi's view, in his vision, we want to use the G20 to prepare to make the world ready for India, that India which all of you are going to make. We also want India to be ready for the world. We want especially the younger generation, and we want the cities and towns and the states and union territories of India to actually understand fully the opportunities and the possibilities in the world out there. And in the last year, the difference we have been able to make is we have not done the G20 as an official program, we have done it as a national celebration. And that is actually a G20 with a difference. Now, what is the challenge in the G20? There are two big challenges. One is what is called the divide between the North and the South. The developed North is a term for developed countries. South is a term for developing countries. So, viksit desh hai, jo vikashsheel desh. So, their gap, their divide which has been growing. And secondly, the polarization that we see today between what you can call the East and the West, particularly as a result of the Ukraine conflict. So you have an East-West problem, you have a North-South problem. Guess who is in the middle? That's us. It is our responsibility today to find a way of bringing the world together, and we are confident of discharging this responsibility precisely because, as I said, we have today a respect in the world coming from our governance, coming from our economy, coming from our technology, coming from our independent foreign policy stance. So that sense today that this is a fair India, a generous India, a connected India, that these people will conduct their presidency responsibly, taking every view into account and find a landing ground which will be acceptable to everybody. That is today the task before the G20. Now, I had mentioned the world is a very difficult place, and it is a difficult place because, as I noted, we had a once-in-a-century pandemic, COVID, and COVID has had a terrible consequence across the world. You know, there are parts, in India at least, we have recovered in many ways. I must tell you, many parts, many countries have not been able to recover the manner in which we have. Secondly, the conflict, because again, it has shown today how much the world matters to us. That a conflict is taking place in Ukraine, an entire continent away. And that conflict is today creating problems in fuel cost, in availability and prices of food grains, in the access to and the price of fertilizers. It is actually creating inflation across the global economy. So the COVID, 3 years of COVID, a year of this conflict, already large parts of the world were struggling with debt issues, trade issues. And then we are seeing more and more climate events. And climate events of a very large kind, which actually impact an entire economy, entire country, sometimes an entire continent. So how is this reflected? We are seeing this in the challenges that we have to address. The debt and inflation, I spoke to you. By the end of this decade, we are supposed, all the developing world, we should have attained what are called sustainable development goals. That means better health, better education, better literacy, better nutrition, better living, better water, better energy. The truth is, after 3 years of COVID, a year of this conflict, other problems created by globalization, the world is not going to get to its targets. This is one of our biggest worries. A second big worry, everybody says climate action, but the resources for the climate action are not there. Countries are not putting, especially the developed countries, are not putting the money which they had committed to. So how do we today address these problems? These are really the big concerns. And these concerns, it starts somewhere, it will end up somewhere else. I mean, the moment, for example, you see that there is less resource for education or for health, in almost every society, the impact is borne more by girls than by boys. Because every family, family in the world prioritizes. So what happens is, you can have a situation where the resources of the society are less. We think of it as a budget problem, we think of it as a debt problem, but it is finally a social problem. That if there is somebody who doesn't go to school, sadly, it is often the girl who doesn't go to school. If somebody's health or there's a shortage of food, So all the progress that the world has made in terms of health, in terms of nutrition, in terms of gender, in terms of education and literacy, today these are the question marks which are facing the world. This is why today our G20 presidency is exceptionally important. That we have to get the world to focus on the real problems. These are the real problems of the world. And when we take the lead, because as I said, we are seen as a fair country, we are seen as a generous country, we are seen as a country which has always thought of the world while thinking of itself. So we have the credibility today to lead, especially in the last 10 years, when people have seen, the world has seen, we have built an inclusive society in India. And they know that a country which builds inclusiveness at home will also support justice abroad. So what we did this year was that we started our G20 in a very unusual way. We started it not by engaging our G20 partners. We deliberately engaged the countries who are not coming for the G20. We asked 125 countries who are the developing countries of the world and told them, saying, look, we will be talking to those 20, and there are another 9 countries who will be guests. So these 30. But you have concerns. You are worried about sustainable development goals. You are worried about debt. You are worried about climate. You are worried about gender. You are worried about health. So we sat with them, Prime Minister himself and many of us ministers. We sat with 125 countries in January of this year for what we called the Voice of the Global South. So this G20 will be a different G20. because we have made Global South not only part of the lexicon of international relations, we have put Global South on the conscience of the world. That is what will actually play out in the first week of September. So do understand today that in all of this, our achievements, our capabilities, everything that we have done, because I must tell you, when, as someone who probably spends half my time traveling abroad, the world is fascinated by what is happening in India. That when the conversation I spoke to you about, that when I tell a foreign leader, we give food support to 800 million people, they cannot believe that number. When you tell them that under, say, Mudra, we give loans to 400 million people, that under Awas Yojana, and all of this is in the last 10 years, that in 10 years, 150 million people are living in new homes because of the support given by the government. 95 million women today are not breathing firewood because of the Ujjwala program. That you have, as I said, Anna Yojana, 80 crores, 800 million people who get the essential nutrition because of food from the government. Or under the Jan Arogya Yojana, 1/3 of our country, more than 1/3 of our country today, is actually getting access to health. And all of this is possible, just like those cashless financial transactions. It is possible because we have today made that big leap into becoming a digital society. That digital society is the basis for the good governance that we have seen for the last 10 years. And if we can take it forward for another generation, for 25 years more, I can assure you that we will be in a completely different zone. So what I would like to do is finally, because I want to leave some time for questions, so I will end finally with one more thought for your consideration. I have spoken about our achievements, about technology, about leadership, about vision. But finally, never underestimate the power of ideas. That today, India is actually seen, and our Prime Minister personally is seen, as a very powerful propagator of ideas. And I saw that for myself when I was still ambassador in the United States in 2014. He came up with the idea of an International Day of Yoga. Okay. To be very honest, many of us, and I would admit to you very honestly, I myself didn't fully appreciate what a global impact it would make if you can actually get the entire world on a single day to realize what the practice of yoga, what the benefits of yoga can be. And if you see since then, we have changed the world's thinking about solar energy through the International Solar Alliance. Today, we are trying to change the world's food habits through the International Year of Millets. We have created a collective way of responding to disasters through a coalition of disaster response. In fact, one of the really imaginative ideas is something called One Sun, One World, One Grid, where actually you can keep generating energy as the sun travels through the world, and if you have the grid will keep passing that energy. So the whole perception today of India is not just a happening place where these big leaps of technology are made. It is also a place, a country which is today seen as responsible, which is seen as innovative, which is seen as actually driving global progress. I think that is the biggest inheritance that we can give to the up and coming generations. So I am very confident that when one day you will all look back you will all remember 2023. 2023 as a big year for India, as a year when our G20 presidency put us on a different place in the map of the world. And that is not just a memory I want you to have. I want you to think of that as a baseline from which all of you then took this country over the next 25 years during the Amrit Kal to the goal of having a Viksit Bharat. So once again, really, thank you for turning out in such large numbers. I'm really very, very touched. And I can stand here. Okay, I'll sit there perhaps and be happy to respond to any questions.
धन्यवाद सर।
Thank you, sir. It was very, very thought-provoking, and I'm sure there are many students who would be interested in, indulging in some kind of an interaction. Just to add to the number of people who are actually watching this program, of course, we have this 800-seater fully packed auditorium today. In addition, we are doing a live streaming for our own students in the Sushila Devi Auditorium on the research center. Additionally, 300 students of our own college watching because they could not be accommodated here. And we are doing a YouTube live streaming thanks to Delhi University, which is going all across all colleges and the University of Delhi. So I'm sure people are getting all the benefits and there'll be questions pouring in. Thank you.
Now is the time for the much-awaited question and answer session, emerging out of the insights of Dr. Jaishankar sir. Those who are interested can kindly raise their hands so that our volunteers may provide a mic to them. We first have a question from Proctor Rajni ma'am. Can we please have a mic here?
Thank you so much. I don't want to ask a question, but I just want to add to what you said. And it's just in one line. I think it's high time that India should be not only G20, but G195, the number of countries we have, that India should be called the peacemaker and peacekeeper of the whole world. Keeping in view, right from Adi Kal till today, India has been looked upon to keep peace in the whole world. Imagine our Prime Minister coming back from America and the President of Russia calling up and saying that India is the one who can stop a war or make an effort to it. India has never attacked anybody, and that's part of the history. They should be labeled as peacekeepers and peacemakers of the world.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Ayushan Rutkar, please assist.
सर्वप्रथम माननीय विदेश मंत्री को मेरा नमस्कार। महोदय, मेरा प्रश्न है, भारत संयुक्त राष्ट्र सुरक्षा परिषद का अस्थायी सदस्य बनने के लिए किस प्रकार परमाणु आपूर्तिकर्ता समूह में शामिल होने का भारत का लक्ष्य अभी अधूरा है। महोदय, भारत चंद्रमा के दक्षिण ध्रुव पर उतरने वाला पहला देश बना है। यह उपलब्धि भारत को किस प्रकार से अस्थायी सदस्यता के लिए एक प्रमुख कारण बन सकता है।
अगर ठीक लगे तो अगर मैं 2-3 प्रश्न एक समय में ले लेता हूँ, इट्स ईजियर फॉर मी टू देन आंसर।
Sir, you were the foreign minister both at the time.
Introduce yourself if you don't mind.
Hello.
Okay, I can see you. Yeah, go ahead.
Give us your name and your class.
Sir, my name is Lokumar Singh, and I want to ask a question. Sir, you are the foreign minister both at the time of Chandrayaan 1 and Chandrayaan 2. Sir, I want to know how big institutions like ISRO, who have given their blood and sweat on a mission, and our government, who has spent a lot of money on a mission, handle pressure and failure. So do you think that the success of Chandrayaan 3 will motivate our Indian youth? Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir. This is Siddhi Krishna from Political Science Department. My question is, there are... Hello? Yeah. Give it closer to the... Okay. The growing role of SECs in India, how are they going to play an important role in making India a $5 trillion economy in the near future?
SEZ, what did you say?
नहीं स्पेशल इकोनॉमिक जोन्स एक और वन मोर
Namaskar, sir. My question to you is, Bharat's Atmanirbhar policy, do you think it has proven to be a game changer in Bharat's image at the global platform?
Could you please repeat it?
Okay, sure.
And please raise your hand. Thank you so much.
Namaskar, sir. My question to you is, do you think Bharat's Atmanirbhar policy has proven to be a game changer for its image at the global platform?
Okay. Actually, जो आपके 3-4 प्रश्न जो थे, they had many common points also, so I will give you a collective answer. तो मैं शुरू करता हूँ UN सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल की जो परमानेंट सदस्यता जो है. देखिए ये अभी जो UN जो है इसकी आर्किटेक्चर जो है 1940s में बनी थी जब सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर चल रहा था उस समय. और उसके जब बनी थी आप याद रखिएगा कि उस समय कुल मिला के UN पूरे UN की सदस्यता जो थी वो करीब 50 देश थे. अब वो 4 गुना बढ़े हैं. अभी दुनिया में करीब दुनिया में करीब 200 देश. तो जो आप सोचिए कि कोई भी व्यवस्था जब 50 मेंबर्स होते हैं और अब वो व्यवस्था जो है 50 से 200 हो चुकी है, तो ये कैसे संभव है कि वही लोग जो 50 को चलाते थे वो 200 को चलाएं. तो ये परिवर्तन तो आएगा, जरूर आएगा. पर इसमें क्या होता है कि जो लोग पहले, जैसे आपने देखा है ना, कभी कभी आप जब यू स्पेशल में चढ़ते हैं तो जो पहले सीट में जो बैठ जाते हैं वो कभी सीट को छोड़ते नहीं. वहीं आप खड़े हो, बस कहीं भी जा रही हो तो वो बैठे रहेंगे वहाँ, आपकी तरफ देखेंगे भी नहीं. हाँ, तो क्या होता है कि एक किस्म से UN भी ऐसा ही है. हाँ, कि जो बैठ गए, हाँ, जो बैठ गए उनको लगता है कि हमारा हक है. अब ये बाकी दुनिया नहीं मानेगी, क्योंकि आज अगर आप देखें सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल के परमानेंट मेंबरशिप से एक भी अफ्रीका का देश नहीं, एक भी लैटिन अमेरिका का देश नहीं. दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा देश पॉपुलेशन के हिसाब से 5वां इकोनॉमी, उसको आप बाहर कितने दिन के लिए रख सकते? और जब आप रखेंगे इनको बाहर, उस क्या होता है कि क्रेडिबिलिटी, नुकसान किसको पहुंचता है? नुकसान जो है UN को होता है, क्योंकि UN की क्रेडिबिलिटी पर प्रश्न चिन्ह लग जाता है. तो UN के कुछ भी निर्णय हो तो बाकी कहते हैं कि भाई वही 5 उन्होंने लिया. तो आज मुझे लगता है ये अगर आप एक डेमोक्रेटाइजेशन की परिप्रेक्ष्य से देखें, क्रेडिबिलिटी की सोचें, संख्या की कहीं आप ज्ञान लें, तो मुझे लगता है ये जरूर ये परिवर्तन आएगा. और हाल ही में जब हम लोग साउथ अफ्रीका गए थे ब्रिक्स में, तो इस बार ब्रिक्स की कलेक्टिव पोजीशन जो है ये भी आगे बढ़ी है कि पहली बार ब्रिक्स ने कहा है कि सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल मेंबरशिप में, मेंबरशिप्स इन प्लूरल, हाँ, सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल मेंबरशिप्स शुड अंडरगो अ चेंज. सो हिस्ट्री इज ऑन आवर साइड. आई कैन टेल इट. UN will change. The people, the countries, the people, the forces who are blocking it will keep trying, but eventually it will happen. What impact has Chandrayaan had on it? See, Chandrayaan has had an impact globally in terms of India's capability. It has had people see, one, of course, we are the 4th nation to go to the moon. But we landed close to the South Pole, which was very difficult. So, you know, this is like taking an exam, but you have deliberately chosen a very tough paper to pass. So your credit is even more. And people recognize that. Then people ask themselves, I mean, one question again I got when I was abroad, that we heard that this is at such a, competitive cost. But that is again, how India works. So it has become today, Chandrayaan is certainly an enormous scientific achievement, technology achievement. But it is seen today as a national achievement, as a national branding, as a national statement that India can do this. And that will certainly increase our credibility and respect that we have in the world. And definitely because, even when Security Council, jab bhi reform aayega, remember people vote for you. Just like, in a way, in the world level also, for different positions. Every year, for some body, somewhere, there's always some voting. And we always do well. But I'm sure achievements like this will increase our support. Now, जो आपका जो सवाल था कि मोटिवेशन आप चंद्रयान 2 और 3 की तुलना जो कर रहे थे, देखिए इसका जो है आई थिंक इट वाज बेस्ट आंसर्ड बाय द प्राइम मिनिस्टर हिमसेल्फ. जब क्योंकि मैं उनके साथ था जब वो बेंगलुरु गए और जब वो इसरो हेडक्वार्टर्स वो साइंटिस्ट से जब मिलने गए, तो उन्होंने कहा वहाँ कि जहाँ चंद्रयान 3 जहाँ लैंडिंग हुई थी उसको उन्होंने उसका नामकरण किया. बट ही सेड आई डू नॉट वांट टू फॉरगेट वेयर चंद्रयान 2 आल्सो लैंडेड बिकॉज बट ही सेड उस दिन मेरा मन नहीं था टू गिव अ नेम. सो वी शुड लुक इन लाइफ for a country, for a person, you will not get success every time. Life is not without challenges. There will be, you can say, disappointments. But the strength of a country, like the strength of a person, is to draw motivation from it. So I can tell you, because that day we were sitting with all these scientists, and they were really remarkable people. I got the sense they were actually all motivated by Chandrayaan 2. That for them, okay, that happened, now we will show this time. That definitely, this is an ISRO which can achieve this, this is a country which can achieve it. So I think it was taken in that sense really as a motivating factor. जो अंत में 2 सवाल जो हैं SEZ and the Atmanirbhar Bharat, because they are also connected. Today, again I give you some personal examples. Recently, Prime Minister went to America. Many of you would have seen it, you would have heard it. It was to me very interesting that some of the leading semiconductor manufacturing companies of the world actually did agreements with us and are already today in India following up on those agreements, even though it's just a few months. This shows today that in very cutting edge areas, today, a very famous case which all of you will know is Apple. That Apple today has chosen to make India a production center. It is a statement about the change, how much easier it is to do business, how much better our infrastructure has become because of Gati Shakti, how much easier of living, that regulations come hai, forms come hai, it's just so much easier to operate in India. So the hard work of the last 10 years is today paying off in terms of how the world looks at us. And one way the world looks at us very differently is no accident that investments into India by the brand name, by the really top companies of the world, those are growing. And ultimately, see, it is not our destiny to be a market for other people. We are India. We are the largest country in the world. We will, God willing, be the 3rd largest economy very soon. We have our talent, our creativity must be given the opportunities to express itself. And certainly, Atmanirbhar Bharat is a vision. It is a vision that we can make in India. We can make the best products in India, we can make for the world. That at the end of the day, when we speak about SEZ, when we speak about Atmanirbhar Bharat, remember one thing. Finally, it is about employment, it is about giving all of you opportunity, it is for you. These are all these are a vision which will actually create a better future for you as you actually enter the job market.
Thank you so much, sir. We would like to move to one more round for questions.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is S. Sate. I'm a second year BA History Honours student. Sir, my question is, as India stands right now in the Russia-Ukraine conflict for neutrality, and also in the past, whenever the world moves toward the conflict, we favored peace, not any country. So do you think it is the most important step for India to be seen as a global leader? Thank you, sir.
This side,
Ayush, towards your right.
Hello, sir. Sir, my name is Kumar. I'm from History Department. So since the talk of the session was about G20, so my question is, how easy India is going to collaborate with other G20 nations in order to provide equal access to resources like healthcare and other resources? Thank you, sir.
Himanshu, please pass on the mic towards your left. We'll be providing with the mic. Wait for 2 minutes, please.
Namaskar, sir. This is me, Ananya, from Political Science Department. And my question to you is, how does India's G20 presidency contributes towards its global emergence as a leader in the global south? And what attributes specifically and uniquely positions India as a prominent leader in this global alliance?
नमस्कार.
We'll take one more question.
नमस्कार पर सर, सर्वप्रथम भारत के यशस्वी विदेश मंत्री और माननीय श्री जयशंकर सर के चरणों में मैं अपना वंदन अभिनंदन अर्पित करता हूं. माय नेम इज हिमांशु कुमार सर, आई एम फ्रॉम हिस्ट्री डिपार्टमेंट. सर, मेरा प्रश्न आपसे ये है कि आज वर्तमान समय में हम सब जानते हैं और वैश्विक घटनाक्रमों से भी साबित हुआ है कि भारत और अमेरिका के बीच नज़दीकियां बढ़ी है, जिसके बावजूद हम अगर रशिया यूक्रेन युद्ध में हमारी मजबूत तटस्थता बनी हुई है, क्या भारत की उभरती हुई आत्मनिर्भरता और विश्व की नई नेतृत्व शक्ति की निशानी है?
Thank you so much. Now sir will be answering.
मैं ये 3-4 कर लेता हूँ, then we can see. जो पहला सवाल जो था, which was जो रशिया यूक्रेन जो युद्ध जो हो रहा है, और can we become a global leader in terms of peace, propagating peace? देखिए, अगर आप आज दुनिया में जो करीब 200 देश हैं, उनको कोई भी बुला के पूछेगा कि आप बताइए कि आपका मत क्या है, मैं लिख के दे सकता हूँ, इनमें से 75% will say पहले we need peace. Nobody wants this conflict. This conflict, as I said, इसके कारण तेल की कीमत बढ़ी है, अनाज की कीमत बढ़ी है, खाद की कीमत बढ़ी है. Countries have found, श्रीलंका में देखिए हालात उसके बाद. So the sentiment in the world today is for peace. तो हम कहते हैं कि हम न्यूट्रल नहीं है, हम शांति के पक्ष में, और दुनिया हमारे साथ है. जो majority opinion in the world today actually wants this conflict to end. तो ये हमें दबाव बना के रखना चाहिए. We have to use forums like G20, but not only G20, there will be other forums also that we can use. अब G20 में 2 सवाल थे, एक ही हेल्थ को आप कैसे आगे बढ़ा सकते हैं, या G20 की क्या उपलब्धियां हो सकती हैं. आप जानते हैं कि G20 के जो थीम जो है वो वन अर्थ है, वन फैमिली है और वन फ्यूचर है। अब वन अर्थ का मतलब क्या है? वन अर्थ का मतलब है कि दिस इज अ कॉमन planet we inhabit. That means we will push green development, we will push climate action, we will push climate finance, we will look at issues like plastics, biofuels, disaster response, because we share one earth. It is our common living space. Now, when I come to one family must address the problems of the family. So what are the problems of the family today? Problems of the family, as I said, gender equality. Gender inequality has grown. Today, we can see that sustainable development, health, nutrition, all these have regressed. We are seeing inclusive growth has shrunk. So when we talk today about millets, millets is not because it is just something different to eat. Millets can give the world food security. Even in our own country, millets use less water. Millet can grow in dry climate. Millet can be grown by small farmers. Its carbon emission is less. And it is more nutritious. But we produce, for 100 million tons of wheat, we only produce 17 million tons of millet. So if we all actually start putting millet in our daily routine, which by the way our grandparents and great-grandparents used to eat millets. So it is not something which is foreign or which is different. It is part of our culture and tradition. So as I said earlier, if we can get into global value chains, if we do not, a world economy where business is concentrated in one country, where production is concentrated in one country or one region, that is not fair to the rest of the world. It is not democratic. So we are pushing today for, as you say, within one family, for value chains, for supply chains, for fairer production, for better food production, for skills mapping. That you have people who can work in some countries, but they cannot get access to the economies where the demand is there. So that is also something which is important. And then when we talk about one future, what do we want in our future? We want more digital, we want more technology, we want better health solutions, we want a fairer world. So when we speak one family, one earth, one family, one future, this will mean you will see in September, when the summit happens, it will mean very specific agreements among the G20. Among the G20, isko hum kaise aage le jaएं? How do we address the present? How do we look at the future? How do we find solutions? Where do we find common ground? And definitely health, especially after COVID, will be something very, very big in this. Acha, last question, India-US. See, look, we are a very independent country. ये हमारे DNA में. So it is for us. It is not difficult to have good relationship with US. Also, जैसे आप PM US से आए, उसके बाद ब्रिक्स गए, जहाँ रशिया था, या हम क्वाड की मीटिंग करते हैं, उसके बाद शंघाई कोऑपरेशन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की मीटिंग भी करते हैं. तो हम लोगों में वो आत्मविश्वास है, वो आज क्षमता है, वो हमारी ये सोच है. We have that ability today to stand up. I was once asked, saying, which side are you on? I'm on my side, I will stand straight. Yeah, one last round.
Sir, one last round, okay.
3 questions.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Jaya Jha. I'm from the Political Science Department. So my question to you would be that India is training ASEAN women for the UN peacekeeping force. So do you think that it is a unique initiative on India's end to promote women empowerment at a global level? Thank you, sir.
So, women in
2 more questions.
Good afternoon, sir. Myself, JB Singh Brad, second year Pol Science Honours. So my question is, how do you see that the rise of India to the position of the 5th largest economy, as well as the impact of the significant global diaspora that India has, how has that impacted in integrating Indian interest into US's foreign policy, particularly in challenging China's influence in the South Pacific Sea?
Good afternoon, sir. So my question to you is regarding artificial intelligence, because I think this is a facet which has not been completely enshrined in the G20 background, which I read on the G20. So my question is that artificial intelligence in the 21st century is so powerful in creating a discourse of knowledge, and that's going to ultimately create a global hegemony in the next 25 years, and that today the technology for artificial intelligence is completely concentrated in US and China. So as the president of G20, how does India cater to this problem, not just accommodating itself, but the countries of the global south? Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Let me, first, I'm glad you raised the issue about women in peacekeeping, because we think this is a very special contribution that we have brought to the table. You would have seen in the last few years, we actually have women, initially we've had for a long time in the police forces, but in the armed forces as well. And I can tell you on the field sometimes it makes a very big difference when there is a peacekeeping force, which it could be an all-woman force or even a mixed force. To have women there gives, they have I would say, certain insights and sensitivities and understanding, which actually makes a difference, because remember, a peacekeeping force is operating in a very difficult situation in a foreign environment. And how to establish a good relationship with the local society is something which is very important. And for us, women peacekeepers are a very strong statement of gender equality, and gender inclusion, which of course is very much our national priority as well. On the fifth largest economy, how will it impact US and China? See, it will impact them. It will impact them because in many ways, as we grow our influence and capability, we will start to count more and more that there will be more manufacturing in India. There will be more services provided by India. Our role in international, if you look last few years, every year we have broken our record in terms of our export. So our role today, and even in terms of, how much Indians count in the global workplace. If you take the total global economy, the global economy its reliance on India will steadily grow. It is not just an economic number कि आज 3.8 trillion से हम कल 5 पहुंच जाएं या 6 पहुंच जाएं. If you look at the quality, the talent, the very unique things that India can bring to bear, that will actually make a difference. And I think all the big economies, US, China, others also, will actually take note of it. And last question on artificial intelligence. It is actually also under discussion because there are two parts of artificial intelligence. One is what goes into artificial intelligence. At the end of the day, it is about data. In fact, each one of us, we are today, 800 people sitting in this room. How much data are we emitting even when we are sitting here? We today have to, worry about, and not just worry, because it can be an opportunity if we do it well. Who captures the data? Who processes the data? Who uses the data to build capabilities? This is today a very big part of the competition among countries. So when we tell people saying, look, clean apps karo, be careful what you download. If sometimes government even blocks apps for that purpose. We want the younger generation to be aware data is a resource. That if somebody else, you will not give away your gold to a foreigner without knowing it. Think of data like that. That if we actually process our own data, capture our own data, build those capabilities. But there is a different debate in the G20, which is how do we actually have a stable you can kind of say a responsible artificial intelligence regime or understanding. It's a very complicated debate. So it's very good that you raised the point. I think issues like AI or crypto will be discussed in the G20. But definitely I would say next 25 years जब हम विकसित भारत की बात करते हैं, next 25 years is also 100% an era of AI. And that is also something that young Indians should be preparing for.
Thank you so much, sir. महोदय, अपनी गरिमामयी उपस्थिति से हम सभी को अनुग्रहित करने व अपने आशीर्वचनों से हमें संबोधित करने के लिए आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। कॉलेज की 125वीं सालगिरह में आपका यह आगमन कॉलेज के अमर इतिहास में स्वर्णिम अक्षरों में रचा जाएगा। धन्यवाद।
Sir, can I also request you? We have a fine arts society called Abstractions, which has very fondly made a caricature of yours, if you could accept that. Just show it, show it. But caricatures are always like this. Sir. And there's one for sir also. I said, how? That's for you, sir. And there's one for the Honorable Minister of Education also, I think. One is for Dharmendra Pradhan, sir. But you give it over. Thank you very much, sir. Very, very, very pleased, sir. Thanks so much. I hope you enjoy it as well with the students.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, ma'am. There is an important announcement for all. All the students are requested to remain seated till our guest departs. Only once the guests have departed, students can exit and collect their refreshments from the exit gates. I request our guests and teachers to kindly proceed towards the staff lounge, new academic block. Thank you so much.